What if the only thing standing between you and the life you want is the way you start your day? Seriously, think about how most of us wake up. We hit snooze, grab the phone, scroll, stress, react. And before we've even brushed our teeth, the day already owns us. But the people who get results, real results, don't do that. They don't start the day reacting, they start the day directing. And this video is going to show you how. Today, we're diving into one of the most practical productivity frameworks ever written, based on the book Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. A book that isn't just about doing more, it's about doing what matters. Because let's be honest, your problem isn't that you're lazy. It's not that you don't care. It's not that you're not smart enough or disciplined enough. Your real problem is this: you're drowning in options. Too many tasks, too many goals, too many expectations. And with that much noise, we get stuck. We procrastinate, we avoid, and we end up chasing the small stuff instead of the big stuff. But here's the turning point. Successful people don't start by doing everything. They start by doing the right thing. And that's where this strange idea comes in. Eat the frog. It sounds ridiculous, but the meaning is powerful. Your frog is the most important task of your day, the big one, the scary one, the one you keep putting off. And if you eat that frog first, everything else becomes easier. Now, before we break down how to actually do this, let me hit you with something bold. There are people with half your talent, half your intelligence, and half your potential, doing exactly what you want to be doing. Not because they're lucky, but because they start. And they start with what matters most. So here's the first step: clarity. Brian Tracy says the #1 cause of procrastination isn't laziness, it's vagueness. When you don't know exactly what you want, or why you want it, or where to begin, your brain will stall. That's why the first habit of successful people isn't working harder, it's seeing clearer. Think about it. You can't hit a target that doesn't exist. So Tracy lays out a 7-step goal system that will completely shift your direction. Step 1. Decide exactly what you want. Not get healthier, not make money, not be happier, but specific outcomes, clear and measurable. One goal, one finish line. Step 2. Write it down. There's something strange and powerful about writing. A thought becomes a blueprint. A dream becomes a plan. Step 3. Set a deadline. A goal without a deadline is just a wish. Deadlines force movement. Step 4. Make a list. Everything that goal requires: actions, decisions, steps, calls, habits. Get it out of your head. Step 5. Organize the list. Sequence it. Prioritize it. Turn chaos into structure. Step 6. Take action immediately. Not tomorrow, not Monday, not someday. Successful people don't wait for motivation, they create momentum. Step 7. Do something every day, even if it's tiny, especially if it's tiny. This is where consistency becomes power. And here's the cool part. Once you know exactly what you want, your frog becomes obvious. It's the task that moves that goal forward, not the task that feels urgent, not the task that feels easy, the task that actually matters. Now here's where this gets real. Most people wake up and chase urgency. Successful people wake up and chase impact. Urgent is chaos. Impact is progress. And that brings us to the next big idea: planning. Brian Tracy says something wild. Every minute you spend planning saves 10 minutes in execution. Read that again. So if you spend just 10 minutes planning your day, you can save 100 minutes of wasted effort. And here's the trick that changes everything. Plan your day the night before. Before bed, write tomorrow down. Not in your head, not on your phone, on paper. Because when you do, your subconscious mind works on those tasks while you sleep. You literally wake up more ready. And once you're planning, you can stop reacting and start choosing. So here's your first challenge, and I promise, it will change your week. Tonight, before you sleep, write down the 5 most important tasks for tomorrow. Then circle the one task that truly matters, the one task that will move your life forward. That's your frog. and tomorrow morning, eat it. Now, this is just the beginning, because planning doesn't just save time, it creates direction, and direction creates confidence. So here's the next layer, and trust me, this one will flip how you work forever. Here's where things get interesting. Planning gives you clarity, but clarity alone doesn't guarantee that you're using your time well. You can have a perfectly organized list and still spend the day doing things that don't matter. And that's why successful people use a principle that almost feels like a cheat code, the 80-20 rule. You've heard it before, but most people don't actually apply it. Here's what it means in real life. 20% of the things you do will create 80% of your results, and the other 80%, the emails, the errands, the micro tasks, the scrolling, barely move the needle. The problem? We avoid the 20% because it feels harder, bigger, more emotionally demanding. So we stay busy instead of effective. Brian Tracy calls this the busiest failure. You end the day exhausted, but unchanged. Meanwhile, successful people flip the formula. They start with the 20%. They literally ask, what are the few things I could do today that would change everything? And here's a shocker. Sometimes that's just one thing. One frog. You don't get paid for effort. You get paid for results. And results come from priorities, not activity. Let me hit you with a quick mental reset. If you have 10 tasks on your list, odds are only 1 or 2 of them actually matter. Those 1 or 2 tasks are the ones that build your future. So here's a question that successful people ask daily. If I could only do one thing today, what is the thing that would make the biggest impact? Your answer to that question? That's your frog. Now, once you've identified your top priorities, you need a system to manage them. That's where the ABCDE method comes in. This is hands down one of the simplest and smartest prioritization tools ever created. Here's how it works. A. Must do. These are your frogs, tasks with serious consequences. If you don't do them, something breaks. If you have more than one A task, label them A1, A2, A3. A 1 is the frog. B. Should do. These tasks matter, but the consequences are mild. Responding to some emails, scheduling a meeting. Tasks worth doing, but never before A. C. Nice to do. These have 0 consequences. Grabbing lunch with a friend, browsing for new productivity apps, organizing your desk, feels productive, does nothing. D. Delegate. This is the productivity multiplier. Anything someone else can do shouldn't live on your list. Delegate it. Outsource it. Stop thinking you must do everything yourself. E. Eliminate. These tasks shouldn't exist. Scrolling, checking, refreshing, empty movement, gone. Now let's pause. Imagine this. You start every day with a list. You mark your A1, and you attack it, immediately. No warming up, no clearing tiny tasks first, no convincing yourself you need to settle in. And something weird happens. Your brain starts to trust you. Confidence builds. Momentum builds. Your entire sense of capability expands. Because here's the truth nobody talks about. Procrastination isn't a time problem. It's an emotion problem. We put things off because they feel uncomfortable, not because we're busy. And the crazy thing? Once you start the big task, the fear dissolves. The resistance melts. You realize the frog is never as gross as it looked in your head. Now let's zoom out. Successful people aren't successful because they have more time. They're successful because they treat time differently. Most people ask, how can I get more done? Successful people ask, what can I stop doing? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. You are never going to catch up. Your to-do list will always refill. Your inbox will always pile up. Your tasks will always grow. That's why Brian Tracy teaches something radical: creative procrastination. You must intentionally, unapologetically procrastinate on the things that don't matter. If you don't choose what to ignore, your day will choose for you. And here's a story you'll relate to. Imagine someone wakes up, and the first thing they do is open email. They answer a few messages. Then a notification hits. They check it. Then another. Then a minor task pops up. Then someone needs something. And suddenly, it's 4 p.m. What happened? They spent the whole day reacting to everyone else's priorities, not their own. That's the default life. And it's the trap successful people avoid, on purpose. Now, we've covered clarity, planning, prioritizing, and choosing what to ignore. But the next step? This is where productivity becomes power. Because having a frog isn't enough. Knowing your frog isn't enough. Planning your frog isn't enough. The next chapter is about doing something most people never master.
Here's the part that transforms planning into progress and progress into success. Focus. Not multitasking, not kind of trying, not switching between 10 tabs and calling it work. Real, uninterrupted, single focus effort. Brian Tracy argues that the biggest productivity leak in modern life is task switching, and the science backs it up. Every time you jump between tasks, your brain takes time to reorient. You lose rhythm, you lose energy, you lose flow. And here's the scary number. Task switching can increase completion time by up to 500%. Yes, 5 times longer. Imagine spending 5 hours doing something that should have taken 1. That's multitasking. So successful people adopt a different approach, single handling. It means you choose your A1 task, you start it, and you don't stop until it's done. No checking messages, no bouncing around, no breaks to scroll, no false emergencies, just deep, intentional effort. Here's the magic. The moment you truly engage, your brain enters what's known as flow state, the neurological zone where work becomes faster and easier. Time bends, focus sharpens, stress quiets, ideas appear. And flow happens most during the first 30 to 60 minutes of single handling, which is exactly why distractions are so destructive. Every interruption restarts the clock. Now, let's make this practical. Brian Tracy offers 2 simple strategies for tackling large tasks. 1. The salami slice method. If something feels overwhelming, don't try to finish it all at once. Slice it. Pick one tiny piece, a paragraph, a phone call, a page. Once you finish that slice, you'll feel progress, and progress fuels momentum. 2. The Swiss cheese method. Similar idea, different metaphor. Punch a hole in the task. Do one tiny action that makes the task easier to start. Open the document, gather materials, outline your plan. Even 5 minutes creates psychological traction. Here's why. Starting destroys resistance. The brain hates unfinished tasks. Once something is in motion, it wants to keep going. Which leads to a simple truth Brian Tracy repeats. Work on your biggest task first, and stay with it until it is complete. That's discipline. But discipline isn't just willpower. Discipline is identity. Every time you choose your frog, you're telling your brain, I am the kind of person who does hard things. That identity becomes internal fuel. It builds confidence, and confidence becomes a superpower. Let's go deeper, because Eat That Frog isn't just about tasks, it's about life direction. Successful people don't just plan their days, they build them, one decision at a time. And one core daily decision separates achievers from dreamers. Successful people finish things. Think about it. Everybody starts. Most quit. The world is filled with half-written novels, half-built businesses, and half-finished goals. Not because people lacked talent, but because they lacked consistency. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Your future depends less on what you want and more on what you finish. And here's where Brian Tracy delivers a massive reality shift. You will never get caught up. Read that again. You will never run out of tasks. You will never empty your inbox. You will never complete every message, request, or idea. So what do successful people do? They stop trying to do everything. They decide what matters and let the rest fall away. That's why the law of forced efficiency is game-changing. There is never enough time to do everything, but there is always enough time to do the most important thing. Think about how freeing that is. You can stop chasing perfection, stop trying to be everywhere, stop aiming to do it all. Because time isn't the obstacle, priority is. Right now, the real reason you may feel overwhelmed, stressed, unfocused, or exhausted isn't because you have too much to do. It's because you're trying to do it all at once. Successful people simplify. They identify the frog. They eliminate the noise. They attack the core. And here's where the story levels up. Because planning your day and doing deep work is powerful. But what successful people do next? That's where routines, self-awareness, and long-term goals collide. The next section explains why some people become unstoppable and why others stall. It all comes down to how you structure your life, not just your day.
So, here we are. The final piece of how successful people plan their day. You know how to set goals. You know how to prioritize tasks. You know how to focus deeply and follow through. Now the question becomes, how do you turn all of that into a lifestyle? Not just a good day or a good week, but a good life. Brian Tracy says the answer is simple. Daily habits. Because motivation fades, willpower runs out, time slips away. But habits? They carry you. And the most successful people in the world share one powerful habit. They protect the first hour of their day religiously. They don't waste the morning scrolling. They don't check notifications. They don't get pulled into other people's priorities. Instead, they start with their frog. They start with purpose. They start with intention. Here's the trick. When you win the first hour, you often win the whole day. Why? Because early action builds momentum, and momentum is the greatest productivity drug on earth. Let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture Tracy teaches. Success equals focus plus consistency plus time. Anyone can be productive once. Anyone can focus today. Anyone can eat one frog. But people who transform their lives, they do it every day. That doesn't mean perfection. It means pattern. It means you choose one goal, one priority, one frog, and you show up for it, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. Here's why that matters. When you structure your day around what's important instead of what's urgent, you become proactive instead of reactive. Most people wake up and react to messages, to stress, to tasks, to other people's demands. Successful people flip the script. They create before they consume. They build before they respond. They lead before they follow. And here's something Brian Tracy says that lands like a punch. You become what you think about most of the time. So if your day is full of distractions, you become distracted. If your day is full of other people's agendas, you lose your own identity. But if your day is built around intentional progress, you become someone who controls their future. Let's talk about mindset, because no planning system works without it. The truth is, most people don't fail because they lack tools. Most people fail because they lack belief. Belief that they can change. Belief that they can be consistent. Belief that the effort is worth it. Brian Tracy makes it crystal clear. Self-confidence is the foundation of productivity. And confidence doesn't come from talking about what you'll do. It comes from doing it. Every time you complete a difficult task, your brain rewards you. You feel stronger. You feel capable. You feel proud. That feeling becomes fuel. And over time,
That fuel becomes identity. You go from, I hope I can be productive, to, I am someone who gets things done. That identity change, it's life-changing. Here's where everything connects. When you plan your day with clarity, when you prioritize ruthlessly, when you focus deeply, and when you finish consistently, you don't just become more productive, you become more powerful, because time is life. When you take control of your time, you take control of your future. Now, before we end, let's bring this back to you, because this video isn't about Brian Tracy. It isn't about productivity theory. It isn't about business icons or success quotes. It's about your life, your goals, your mountain, your frog. So here's the question. What is the one thing you've been avoiding? The project, the application, the conversation, the health decision, the creative dream, the difficult change. Whatever comes to mind, that's your frog. And what you do tomorrow morning, in the first hour of your day, could change everything. Not someday, not later, not when life calms down. Tomorrow. Because planning is powerful, but action is transformation. So here's the invitation and the challenge. Pick one frog, block 1 hour, shut the world out, show up, finish. Do that, and you won't just have a productive day, you'll have a productive life. If this hit home, don't leave silently. Like the video, subscribe, and start letting go of the version of you that starts without finishing. Because your time isn't just valuable, it's sacred, and it's time to use it like it matters.